Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome to another edition of my look back at 2021. Today I am delighted to be joined by Connor Swift of Team Arkea Samsic. Connor, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Yep, thanks for having me.
Good. So where in the world do we find you tonight?
Just at home, sat on my bed, resting the legs.
Are you training today?
Yeah, I actually went out on the cross bike today. A lovely ride, tailwind for 2 hours, and then I got picked up by the missus.
Cheap.
Well, we had a bit of a dog walk, so it was planned a little bit, but yeah, to find out that I had a bit of tailwind, yeah, it was a nice surprise.
Right, so if we rewind a bit and go back to the start of, or the winter of this season, how did your winter training go?
Yeah, obviously. So kind of around now, I started, just getting back on the bike. The first few weeks in November, just on the mountain bike, just having fun. Still in December, just getting out there, just getting the miles in. Really, no specific efforts. We have a training camp with the team in December, which all went ahead fine, which was in France. And then the training camp in January, which was in Spain, I couldn't get to that at the beginning of this year. So I basically did a training camp from home. Basically did everything what the guys was doing on the camp in sunny Spain, but I was doing it over here with a bit of ice and snow on the roads. And then yeah, the season kicked off in like February time. So yeah, I had a homemade camp, and then yeah, just. Then racing went ahead as normal in February.
How did you find your level compared to those who get to train in sunnier conditions through the winter?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was behind, my sort of fitness where I'd expect to be or anything like that. I quite enjoy, training back at home, and I don't mind, not being in a sunny climate, and especially, preparing for the classics and things like that. You can't pick and choose a sunny day, so I feel like it helps for those, even though the classics this year was yeah, there wasn't really any terrible weather, but yeah, no, fitness wise felt like I was where I should be, and yeah, that first race back, you're always missing that little bit of a kick in the bunch and things like that, but that's the same as everyone.
So you opened up in Bessages and you took 13th place, I think it was, in the time trial, which must have been quite a pleasing result for you.
Yeah, I was happy with the time trial there. Yeah, pan flat, and then it goes up a 4 or 5 minute climb to finish. So yeah, with the field that was there, there's a lot of World Tour teams there and big riders. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with that time trial early on.
Is that something you've worked on? I'm going to touch on it later. Your quite impressive time trial results this year. Did you spend any specific time on the time trial bike?
Yeah, so going into the season, yeah, definitely over the winter, had more training sessions, trying to get on the time trial bike, at least once a week. It's a discipline that I really enjoy, and it's something that I feel like I just need to, just kind of crack. I'm like always pretty consistent, but I've never really unlocked and got a really good result in time trialing. Even though I like really enjoy it, I like work on the time trial bike. So yeah, that's something, going into next season. I just keep on chipping away at it, and hopefully one day it'll click.
So the opening weekend in Belgium, how did you find Omloop and Kuurne?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Omloop's a race that I really, really enjoy, and yeah, I hope to pull off a result there one day, and it's will be one of my targets. But yeah, I was in that race, and I think there was 60k to go, and yeah, I hit the deck hard, and I actually thought I'd done some damage to my shoulder, but got back on the bike, and then yeah, at that point in the race, 60k to go, there's no chance you're getting back on. I did managed to get to like the first car in the convoy, and then seen the bunch. I can't remember what the climb is, but then yeah, at that point the peloton which was left exploded, and yeah, race over. So I was really gutted after Omloop crashing there. Didn't really lose too much skin, just a little bit. And then Kuurne the next day, that was the first time that I'd ever raced that, so I didn't really know what to expect. And yeah, it's just a massive dogfight for every little corner. I don't feel like, yeah, I don't enjoy it as much as Omloop, and we'll see how it goes next year. But there I was, yeah, suffering a little bit from the day before, and then same again, 70k to go. The peloton was kind of in the gutter, and the road just went off a little bit, and there was, I don't know, quite a big gap that went off at the side of the road, and no, the peloton was in a line. I was like in the wheels, and no one like swings out a little bit as they see it, and no one really like emphasizes that swing out or flick their elbow or anything. And my front wheel just went down the dip in the side of the road, and then bang, yeah, crashed, slid for ages, and that was like, I don't know, 45, 50k an hour, and then yeah, pulled down a load of the bunch behind because the team had just told me to start riding. So I was making my way up the bunch as when it's in a bit of a long line. So I was about 10th wheel, and yeah, caused quite a big crash there. Like, I didn't mean to bring anyone down, but yeah. And then that day I lost a load of skin, and yeah, so it was an opening weekend to write off. Really, it was shocking.
You said there you quite like Umloop. Is that, I know you crashed and stuff, but to get a kind of go round it, do you think that it's one that might suit you next couple of years?
Yeah, I hope so. So that this year was my second time, and my third time in races that I enjoy. I seem to have a bit of luck there. So touch wood, that continues. But yeah, it's just obviously seeing Stannard's performances there, and just racing it twice now, having the experience, knowing what's coming. Yeah, it's one that I really do enjoy.
So then you head off to Paris-Nice. Buhani was there. You were part of the kind of sprint train, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
What's your role when you're riding in support of NASA?
Yeah, so it changes a little bit time to time depending on who's there at the race, and what the objectives are. Aside from Buani, potentially they might want me to help Barguil or Quintana, on other days. So if that's the case, then in the late lead out, I'll kind of be like the first guy, and sometimes it's doing the longer efforts, which I can remember one day in Paris where NASA got second. There was like a bit of a crosswind. People didn't really know what was going to happen at like 15k to go. So basically, I rode, a good 7k, just keeping the team in position there around 15k to go until I couldn't do any more. And then that just kept them, out of the dogfight behind. Buani's stressing a lot less as well because he's not always thinking, oh, he's a bit too far back. He's up near the front of the bunch. Potentially it's wasted energy, but overall, if your sprinters not had to spend as much mental energy, fighting, then it helps in the end. And so yeah, potentially I can be from quite long out, and then other times, yeah, it's maybe in the last 5k or 3k, or sometimes even he wants me, to be there like 1k to go. But yeah, I'd never go really past 1k to go unless something's gone wrong or someone's needed to switch, because that's the thing as well. There's only me, Maclay, and normally Clement Rousseau. So he likes to have me first, Clement Rousseau second, Dan Maclay, his last guy, to drop him off basically. And if things need to change a little bit, it might be between me and Rousseau. But yeah, it's just kind of, every sprint's different as well. Sometimes you just got to wing it.
Do you quite enjoy getting in the mix in the last kind of 5k?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I prefer potentially a little bit further out, but but then when things do click and it goes well, and like that job role 2 to 1k to go, it is a nice feeling. But it's a bit rare, especially when you've got the likes of Quick Step that are like so nailed on and they can just take control of the front of the bunch, and then everyone else kind of just sits behind them, and it's almost that dominance that they've got kind of gives them, a bit of a free reign and kind of makes their job easier. But even though there's no easy job, but it's kind of like everyone else is kind of fighting behind them because they just take control, especially like in the Tour and things like that. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, for a team like ours, it's yeah, sometimes you've just got to sense it, and Buani quite likes to make his way sometimes. So you've got to follow him and watch him also.
And getting to know him over the last couple of years, is that a big part of understanding kind of how he wants you to work, and without even having to kind of say, do this or do that, do you just naturally kind of build up that relationship?
Yeah, for sure. Things change in sprints, and you can't overthink it. I can remember when I first going in 2019, practice on training camp, or your 1K to go guy. So I remember I think it was Saudi Arabia. I started my effort 1K to go just because that's what all we'd been training about, and never really been in a lead out role before. And there was no stress because we were sat like fourth wheel. So I should have really started my effort like 500 to go. So yeah, I soon learned, not to get not to do your job wrong, basically. Yeah, something like that.
Some honest conversations on the bus.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
How was your first Tour of Flanders?
Yeah, not too bad. Didn't have great legs, but it's one of those races. First time Tour of Flanders. Again, didn't really know what to expect, but bloody hell, those climbs at the end are hard. And yeah, it was just a grippy day. I think around 70. The DS was telling me to anticipate the race, get ahead, but everyone's kind of wanting to do that before the big fireworks go off, and then it just comes down to legs. So yeah, I can remember like 70 to 80k out, trying to chip off the front, got in a few moves with tunes, I think, and things like that, but it came back. And then yeah, before what's one of the main cobble climbs on Tour of Flanders? Quarmont there, yeah. Just before there was a crash, and I got caught behind that, and then hit that climb at the back of the peloton basically, and that was the last time we went up there, or the second to last time, and that's when you need to be at the front. So yeah, I knew at that point, my race was over, which is disappointing, but yeah, like even my DS said afterwards, he says you're annoyed because you crashed, but you crashed because you was out of place, and that's very true. So yeah, it's just a learning experience, and that you just need to stay in that bubble at the front just to avoid that carnage, really. And any opportunity you do get, if you are out of place, you just got to take it and not think about the energy that you just spent for that effort, because when you do get onto the climb, there's guys behind you that are even more in the red. So it's just something to learn from for the next time round, really.
And how? I mean, obviously you're riding for a smaller team. Big teams, they have guys dedicated to move riders up the bunch. It looks effortless. How hard is it when you don't have that kind of 2 or 3 guys around you to help? You're saying there you're worried about wasting energy, but then you need to run. I mean, how hard is it? Tour of Flanders, you're approaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, get on the front.
Yeah, exactly. Like the thing is with our team, we've not really got a big classics guy, so there's no one real leader. Everyone's kind of got their own opportunity. There's 2 or 3 guys that are like said to, be the leaders for the race, but it's kind of an open book with our team, really. And with that comes the fact that you've not really got someone that 100% sacrifices themselves for you, or sacrifices yourself for you at all. So you've kind of got to be a bit canny and just not spend too much energy in the wind, but but not be out of place and just be sitting at the back. So you just got to be smart, I feel like, and especially in those races, because it's kind of, I've only done them like once or twice now. It's kind of just gaining that experience of when the best place is to spend that energy, because you've just got to think you can only make so many big efforts in those sort of races, and you don't really want to be making those big efforts moving up either. You want to be doing them at the crucial points in the races. So it's just being smart, and just, I'm a guy that kind of, I wouldn't say I'm super smart in the bunch anyway. Like I move up potentially when a sprinter would think, oh, that's a terrible moment to move up. The sprinters are the best one to watch, how to save and when to move. But yeah. And obviously that, I think I'm like that as well, because obviously I'm kind of been in that domestique role where if I've got Quintana or Buani there, I'd move them up at a moment in the bunch where everyone else is kind of like hurting, or not many other people are moving up, at a bit of a harder point where I can make that sort of effort. So yeah, it's just kind of going against what I normally do and just being smart about it, really.
How hard's the distance of a Flanders?
Yeah, it takes its toll. You've definitely got to eat and drink on that sort of race. Yeah, it's a big old day, especially with those cobbles and climbs and just the stress of the bunch as well. Yeah, big old day, and that's why even back at home here in the terrible weather in the winter and stuff, I'll get those 6-7 hour days in, even though it doesn't go 7 hours, but just to spend that amount of time in the saddle, knowing that you're going to be doing big old days in the races to come.
So then we go to Trobro Leon, where you win, take a fantastic win that day. Going into the race, what was your tactics? Were you the leader, or what was the story approaching the race?
Yeah, so the team picked for that race, again, like kind of in the meeting, everyone there wanted to be at that race. Like I've done it 2 times prior, and it's a race that I really love. And being on this team, I was really wanting to race it with Arkea. And on the bus in the morning, everyone got to the bus 5 minutes earlier than it should have set off. Everyone was dead excited, and everyone kind of had their own opportunity again. Just with how the race pans out, with luck and things like that, you could have a teammate up the road, but he could punch her, and then you've got to have numbers behind to make up that place and being ahead in the group. So basically, coming into the last 50-40k, we had a lot of numbers in the peloton. The peloton was reduced now to 40-50 guys, and I think pretty much all of the team was there. Clement Russo had quite a lot of bad luck, 2 punches and a seat post had snapped. So he was one of the leaders for the day, but he'd made a lot of efforts, coming back to the bunch after his mechanicals. And I can remember we hit one of the sectors, and my teammate Laurent Pichon just told me to go, basically. So yeah, I went, and obviously I knew that I had loads of teammates behind that could follow moves or block anything that tried to come across. And then I just stayed ahead in the race. Obviously, I was hearing on the radio that the gap was going out, and the DS at that race is a local, and he was screaming in the earpiece. It was kind of, that Trobro Leon's kind of like the Arkea like world champs, especially being in Breton and that sort of stuff. So and then as the race progressed and got into the latter stages, I just felt super strong, and I did want to clip away from that group I was with, but the wind was pretty strong that day, and it was always a bit more headwindy coming into that final, so I didn't manage to get that gap to snap the elastic. But looking around in that group, I could kind of sense that I was one of the stronger guys there, and then just backed myself for the sprint, and then what happened next.
There was a couple of fast guys in that group as well. You said you backed yourself for the sprint. Going into the sprint, were you confident?
Well, not kind of back myself for the sprint, but I know it's a drag up to the line, and if I was to be sprinting, I wouldn't. That's the type of sprint that I'd choose. A drag up to the line, especially after a long day, over 200k in the saddle. It's a bit different, and I had a couple of fast guys there. The DS told me to watch the wanted guy. So I think, and then for me also, sprinting got to go long as well in that sort of scenario. So as soon as the wanted guy looked left, I was on the right. As soon as he looked left, I knew that was my chance to jumped, moved across to the left, and then I had the Cofidis guy, and I should have just closed the door there on the left-hand side of the barriers, but I was just being too nice, kept it open, because I thought, could I get disqualified here? That's the feeling, that's the thought that went across in my head, but I should have just closed that door, but no, I left it open. Sprinting, and then I glanced down, and literally I felt like I couldn't see anyone just behind me. So I celebrated, 5 meters before the line, and as soon as my front wheel crossed the line, obviously they was both there. either side. And I was like, oh shit, I've just lost that. I've just mucked it up. And yeah, as soon as I crossed the line, I just had in my head, I've lost the race. All my teammates came up to me saying, "How did it? You've won, you've won." I was like, I've not." And obviously, then the suspense afterwards, it took, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, and yeah, that roar that I gave after the commentator said that I'd won was just more relief than anything, because yeah, I'd literally thought I'd thrown it away.
Do you think you'll ever celebrate too early ever again?
No way, no way. No, I've done it in the UK at Leicester, Leicester GP or whatever it was, and I had Brenton Jones sprint. I celebrated 10 meters before the line there, and he just came. And obviously after that, I said, "Oh, that's lessons learned." But I think at this level, knowing them sort of opportunities don't come around that often, and just getting a professional win is it's hard. And yeah, I don't think I'll make that sort of mistake again.
It must have been pretty cool. You're saying there that it's like the World Championships for the team. They're on home soil. To get that big win for you personally, but also for the team, that must have been really satisfying.
Yeah, for sure. There was like the sponsors there, because that's where our Arcaea is, originated. And yeah, a lot of the team staff, riders come from there. That's where the team was founded. And yeah, I think their best they always love Trobro Leon, and I think the best place ranking was either second or third. So for me to like that be my first win for them, and then for them to win that race as well, it was just huge. And yeah, the sponsors afterwards, there's big banners on buildings, me celebrating and things like that. So, which is pretty cool. Didn't get the pig though. I was gutted about that.
Well, that poster that they've sent out now seems to suggest you do have the pig.
Yeah, I know. I thought I'd have been able to hold it, on the stage or something like that. But yeah, that's the first time I've seen it on that new poster.
And then you also rolled out the French for a post-race interview in French, which impressive. I think that obviously is a big deal for the team. The fact that you're an English guy who's coming over, learning the language, able to give an interview in French after the race, they must have loved that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I try, especially now when they say, "Oh, there's a French interview." Obviously, I try my best. I'm not perfect, but just trying and showing that willingness, sort of thing, goes a long way. And yeah, when I joined the team back in 2019, I was like really naive. I thought, oh, it's a French team, they speak English. And yeah, I had a massive shock at that Dunkirk race I did. Race briefing French, race radios French, all the staff speaking French, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? And yeah, when I joined the team, I literally didn't. I knew like bonjour basically, and je m'appelle Connor. And yeah, since then, obviously, it's pushed me to learn the language, and it's something that I'd never have learned. Well, never have done learning another language if I hadn't have joined this French team. So yeah, it's good for my personal development, and obviously good for the future as well. So yeah, no, obviously I think it's been good. And yeah, whenever I'm asked to speak French or for interviews and things like that, of course, yeah, I'll do it.
Did you find it hard because you still live back in England? A lot of the guys who go abroad will stay in France and they'll just immerse themselves in the language. Do you think it took you maybe a wee bit longer to
Yeah, yeah, potentially. I did have a tutor, and I was having her like once or twice a week. But then like COVID and things like that happened in the winter and things. And so yeah, and then I just kind of put that aside. I've not seen her since. But every time I'm back with the team now, and every race you go to or training camp you go to, you pick something new up every time. So I've kind of got that nice foundation there. I don't particularly think I need to learn anymore. Like I can kind of get back at the stage that I'm at now. I can kind of get by, but I think it's just polite and nice, to keep on showing that willingness to learn more. And yeah, picking up more words every time I'm with the team. Really, it helps. But yeah, for sure, someone living in France, they can pick it up a bit faster. I'd have said.
Then you go to another kind of gravelly sort of race in Dwars Duur Het Hageland, finished 6th in the front group that day as well. What is it about these races that seems to bring out the best in you?
Just something that I like. It's just different. I know a lot of people aren't keen on, putting sort of gravel or off-road sectors in road races, but I think it's cool. It's just different. The races are fun. Like it's not, oh, today's going to be a nailed on sprint, or today, like, it just opens up the race a lot more. And yeah, a luck does play into it, a big factor, but I also feel like when you're on the off-road sectors, you can still, if you're in a good place, you can still, choose your line. And even if there's little dips and stuff, you can kind of like just, I don't know, do a little pump in them or something. You don't really have that on the road, do you? You can do a little jump or little pump or something. And then on the corners, some people are really scared on like off-roady corners, and you can still go around them pretty fast. So I feel that also just enjoying, the off-road sectors is a massive thing. And yeah, I wasn't scheduled to do that race, but obviously off the back of winning Trobro, I'd always seen that race in the past, and I never rode it with Madison Genesis, so I'd always wanted to ride it. So I just said to the team, "Oh, can I go there?" And they said, "Yeah, of course." And yeah, I found myself in that front group. Not the best of legs that day, or certainly not Trobro legs, but yeah, I was still happy, to be in the mix and fighting for the win.
And then Belgium Tour, another solid TT. This time you were 10th, which helped you to 7th on GC, which is a fairly significant result considering Quick-Step were there with some fairly talented riders. Just how important is it to do a good TT? I mean, there's a few races, the other one you won in France later on in the season, it's all based around that TT performance. So
yeah,
you mentioned earlier about clicking, hoping it goes right, but it really is so important to that type of race, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. These, yeah, for example, the Belgium Tour, and then Poitou-Charentes and other races like Bessages. Yeah, they've got time trials in them, and if you do find yourself, going for the GC in those races, if there's been, a big a group of 20 guys or 30 guys that have gone off and gained time on a stage, yeah, it's crucial, and yeah, it can make the difference of winning the GC overall, or being outside of the top 10. So yeah, especially this season, realizing after that Poitou-Charentes and winning that race, if I'd have gone, if I'd have lost 10 to 20 seconds on that time trial, it's a totally different story, and I wouldn't have, won another race. So definitely feel like it's something, just to continue progressing in, and not slacking off on. And yeah, obviously it's the difference between winning a GC and not, basically. So yeah, it's a big factor.
How was your Tour de France?
Yes, it was different compared to last year, in the fact that we was there with Buani, helping out in the sprint stages, the sprint intermediates. Not so much in the crosswinds this year or anything like that, because Quintana, was going for the KOM jersey and stage wins. And then also, I got told the day before the Tour de France, the stage one, that they'd quite like me to go in the breakaway and go for the KOM jersey, being in Brittany there. So that was a bit of a shock. And yeah, it was just kind of a Tour de France that was a bit more opportunistic for myself. And yeah, just really enjoyed it, especially the day that I got away in the breakaway, which I wouldn't have been allowed or been told to do the year before.
How cool is it to be in a Tour de France break with the crowds, and just, it looks awesome?
Yeah, it's mega. It's that moment when you've made it, you're like, oh God. You want to relax, but everyone's still like drilling it just to get that gap. And then when I looked around and seen the company that I was in that day, I was like, bloody hell, I'm in for a shift today. Pollitt, Kung, Alaphilippe, Toons. Yeah, there was some hitters in that group, and yeah, when I looked around and I was in that group, I was like, oh, this is got a good chance of making it all the way. and then yeah, just kind of soaking that up, like trying not to be a bit too like overwhelmed with the company that I was with, but also like trying to watch, how the guys was, riding in that breakaway, especially now, thinking back about Pollitt and how he was in that breakaway that day. It's good to, learn from. And then the crowds in the Tour this year were a lot better compared to last year.
You looked pretty strong that day in the break. What did you look
Yeah.
at? You think you maybe, it's easy to say for me, you think you maybe pushed a bit too hard, or
Yeah, I think so. But then also, I remember now, the day before was 2 times up Mont Ventoux. So even though everyone did that, it's still, a massive day in the saddle. And potentially, if I'd have thought, oh, tomorrow I'm in the breakaway, then I'd have took, potentially the last group on the road, the day before. It's just potentially little factors like that add up and make the difference the day after. So yeah, but yeah, I was feeling all right, and then I followed Pollitt, and then I just realised he was on another level to me that day, and then
it was on another level to everybody.
Oh yeah, big time. But yeah, learning from him like all day, like the previous 3 hours, watching him, you'd have thought he was like one of the weakest ones in the bunch, because on every little drag he'd like pull a little face, or miss a turn, slide back in the group. But that's him just racing super smart and conserving his energy all day, whereas I was the one, just kept on rolling through, thinking that I'm saving energy, but nowhere to the level, that he was. And then, yeah, when he attacked that first time, it was like he had a motor in his bike or something like that. He flicked his elbow, and I was like, I can't come through. Seriously, cannot come through. And then and then when it's and then once everyone's nervous, that first attack's been made. Yeah, picking who to follow. I think you've just got to focus on one or two riders. You can't follow everything, and it comes into a bit of luck. But yeah, he was something else that day.
So then after the tour, people go on holiday, they relax. You decide to head up to the West Highland Way. For those who don't know, it's a very famous walking route in Scotland. It starts in the north of Glasgow, it finishes in Fort William. It's 154 kilometres long, with an altitude gain of 3,155 metres. And you broke the record, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So what was that, mountain bike or?
Mountain biking, yeah. And I did, the record was 8 hours 39, I think. And I did it in 8 hours 31 or something, or 8 hours 30 or something like this, yeah.
How good was that day?
Yeah, it was mega. I was actually, while I was at the Tour de France, I was kind of like on the transfers. You've just got a load of time on your hands, and I was just plotting this West Island Way that I was going to do after the Tour. I knew that after the Tour, you have a week or so off of the bike, and then you have a week of just playing around sort of thing. So I thought, that second weekend after the Tour de France be a great time just to go up and do the West Island Way, just because I'll have the form from the Tour de France. It's nothing too serious, and it's just like a nice little challenge. And when I watched Rob Wardell, he did a great video with Wahoo on YouTube, and I watched that for the first time, him breaking the West Island Way record. I was like, oh, that looks mega. Up in the Highlands in Scotland, mountain bike, you're out there all day, just like you and the bike, and just pushing yourself to the limits. Just really appealed to me after the Tour. So went up there, and dropped onto some mega weather in Scotland. It was tropical, and it was the wrong time of the year to do the route though, because it was pretty overgrown, the ferns and everything like that. Either spring or autumn would be better, but I actually want to go there again and go faster. But I was still happy with my efforts.
Did you do it yourself, or did you have a wee team with you?
Yeah, so if you want to be serious and actually go for the record, you've got to have people there. So I plotted out every 25 or 29k. There was me, my girlfriend, Tobin, and his wife. So I had three helpers basically, and they was every 25 or 29k, spare wheels if I punctured, they'd have gels, bottles, and a camelback for, especially for the bit that's up Loch Lomond. It's basically an hour 15. You can't even ride your bike. You're going up and down like little rock faces and things like that, and you're carrying it up and down. And literally for an hour and 15, you just kind of hike a bike in. So for that section, you definitely need, a camelback on. So, and then after that section, I ditched the camelback, took on another bottle, making sure I only had one bottle on my bike, just kind of weight saving. And then, yeah, just for morale and support as well. I remember the Devil's Staircase, I think Tobin, like I was pushing my bike up there, but Tobin kind of ran halfway up there. So yeah, it was good motivation.
And it was quite close, 8 minutes. Were you worried?
Yeah, like in the first half of the West Island Way, I was like a good 15, 20 minutes up, I think. And then, yeah, getting later and later, I think, yeah, just before the Devil's Staircase, I really hit a wall there, and I was really struggling. And then the last 45 minutes, I found a second wind, and yeah, I just felt mega. But yeah, the margin was close. Like I was kind of going up there to go as fast as I could. In the back of my mind, I really wanted the record, but if I didn't get it and I got close, I'd have been quite happy knowing that, I can, come back again and go for the record. But yeah, to take the record, and especially with, how overgrown it was and what I think now I can do, having done it once, I can definitely go faster. So yeah, keen to do it again.
Then you returned to racing at Pluie, where potentially you looked the strongest I think I've ever seen you in a race of that stature. You finished fifth. You were on the attack as well, if I remember correctly, on the final climb.
Yeah.
How good did you feel that day?
Yeah, it was a strange race because obviously it was only 2 days after Poitou-Charentes. So obviously I've just done 5 stages, hard racing, and the DS. I was going into Pluie thinking, I'm just here to help Barguil basically. And then the day before the race, the DS said to me, whoever wins Poitou-Charentes is the strongest in Pluie. Obviously, French thing, they have their old myths and everything like that. I was like, all right, okay, I'll see how I go. And the day before, he actually said I was joint leader with Barguil. And right there and then in the meeting, I said, look, I don't think I'm going to be great. If I'm not feeling great, I'll just tell everyone early on, because there was other guys there, that were pretty strong guys. Especially, it was just the amount of climbing. I think it's 4,000 meters of climbing now in 250k. So I was just kind of put off by. I just thought this race isn't for me. And started the race, rolled out, up and down, small roads, no neutral. That's just stupid. That it's like a cyclocross start, and you've got 250k ahead of you. So yeah, and I felt crap in the first. I felt crap for the 150k. Teammates kept on asking me how I was, and I was like, not great. And then there's that gravel section in it, and they was moving me up there, but I was, never fully committed to feeling like, and I wasn't fully like wanting, people to help me and move me up, because I was like not 100% with my legs. And then after that gravel sector, like started looking around in a bunch, and just people were like popping, and I was thinking, it must be quite hard then. And then yeah, something just clicked, and I was like, I don't know if I'd started noticing people just going out at the back, strong riders, and I was like, I'm on a good day. And then like we was going up some climbs, and I'm just like spinning away. I'm thinking, I feel really good actually. And then we got onto the final circuit, and I said on the radio, yeah, I'm really good. At this point, obviously, Alaphilippe is already up the road with Cosnefroy. Was it Cosnefroy? Yeah. Cosnefroy. So those guys are already up the road, so there's nothing I can do about that. But I was in the bunch behind, and I was like, I feel all right here. And we got to the top of the climb on the other end of the finishing circuit, and an FDJ guy jumped, and I was quite near the front, and I was like, just go with him. There's nothing to lose. Went with him, riding through, and I kind of felt like I was like the strong. I think we had a quick step guy with us as well, and I was kind of like the strongest. Felt the strongest there. then we took a descent before we go on the main climb, and on the descent I dropped the 2 guys. Well, I put a bit of a gap into the 2 guys that I was with, and I was just like, oh, just commit. There's 3 guys up the road. I'm by myself. The peloton's tired, so that was kind of what I had in my head. The peloton's tired. There's no one really able to really pull behind. Just maintain a really strong pace and hit this final climb and just go up it as hard as you could. And I was feeling good. Went up there as hard as I could. Just edged over the top, and I was joined by Hayter, Frank Bonamoto, and Stuyven. And I knew then, I was like, oh, I'm in good company, potentially a top 10, if we hold off the bunch. And rolling down, Hayter jumped quite early, and I just stayed in his slipstream, and I kind of never like committed, to going round him. It's something that you always think back of a race and you think you can do better or something like that. But I don't know, because it's a it was World Tour race, and just being in the company that I was with, and just kind of thinking, going for what was we going for? Fourth place, yeah. In a race like that, yeah, I don't know, kind of. Yeah, I just need to back myself a bit more, but yeah, I felt really good at the end of that day. So yeah, that was a nice surprise as well.
You mentioned just before that you won the GC in Poitou-Charentes.
Yeah, Poitou-Charentes, I think.
Oh, there you go. See all that French practice. Yeah. You're embarrassing me here. So again, your first GC win for the team, based around a solid time trial, which you were 9th.
Yeah.
So again, that idea of how important it is to do a good time trial. Was the last day, if I remember right, the last day was a bit hairy, was it?
Yeah, there was some crashes. Yeah. The last day it finishes on a finishing circuit, and a bit of crosswind, and everyone's a bit nervous, and yeah, there was a couple of big crashes. One really near the front actually, and sketchy finishing circuit.
So you've won Trobro. You are in the front group in Hagland. You win the GC there. You're 5th in Plouay. This season, you've clearly made a step up compared to previous years. Does it feel like that? Does it feel like you're now at a level where you can compete in kind of some of the biggest races?
Yeah, I think, those sort of results give me confidence. And now that I've spent, a couple of years like in the peloton, and it's familiar faces. There's obviously you've got your big dogs, but you've got other big names. And, when you're in races and you see them guys suffering and things like that, when yourself, you feel like you're not on the edge, like on your limit sort of thing. That's kind of like reassuring and gives you confidence, that you can potentially pull off a result against those sort of guys like one day. And then, yeah, this season with those results and how I felt, it's just kind of like finding my feet potentially at this level. Obviously, there's still a lot more I'd like to achieve and more races I want to win. But having had the season that I've had, hopefully, I can build on that and, turn into a different type of rider, or someone that's now found the feet and, can be confident in speaking up to the teammates, saying that I'm feeling really good today, or be confident in the team meeting, when you've been told that you're the leader, and, expecting teammates, to work for you rather than, them being in the race and you're not keen on them working for you because, I don't know, just kind of like, oh, shit, like, you don't want to cock it up, basically. But potentially, like, now also having those results, the team or my teammates can take a bit more pleasure in working for me, if I do pull something off as well. So, yeah, it's nice to have had this season, and yeah, definitely, year upon year, I feel like I'm progressing, and yeah, next year, it should be no different, and yeah, take another level, really.
Because then another gravelly sectory race, Paris Tour at the end of the season. Man, you must have been so disappointed. So you make the move, you jump with the other, I think it was 2 guys, was it? It was 3 years that got away,
Yeah.
which ends up being the winning move.
Yeah.
Stuyven and Demar get across, but you puncture out. I know it's part of bike racing, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I still think you would have won that day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, like I said, like that's why some people hate those races. But I punched out of that, winning move, and well, I had luck in Trobro and Hageland and races like that. So you can't have a clean sweep in them style races. So I kind of feel it's fair enough. But yeah, obviously came away from that race. Paris Tours, yeah, that's another one that I really enjoy, and one that I feel like I can pull off a result there as well. So yeah, that day was pretty gutting. I got to the end of a sector, thought it was just my front wheel, changed it, set off. I thought it was just my back wheel, changed it. Took quite a while to change actually. Set off, and then my front was flat as well. So I had to go back, get the front wheel, and that deep into the race, and that when there's that many bodies all over, you've got no hope of making it back to the front. So I was gutted about that. And then obviously eyes were focused for the nationals, but yeah, it was a big old season. I think I was one on the team with the most race days, and yeah, it definitely took its toll. Those last few races, and especially at the nationals.
Yeah, nationals in October is probably something most don't want to ever do again. Maybe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was. Lincoln. That course, love it. I think I was more motivated for the nationals just because of the course it was on. And yeah, on the day, like I kind of was always a bit on the back foot, and cousin was always on the front foot, and he was stronger on the day. And yeah, if anyone was to win it, I'm glad it was him. But yeah, I think going into that nationals week, should I say, I think I was pretty burnt out, after the season, and racing in October, and just ready for that, ready for that break, basically.
Yeah, starting in Bessages and finishing in October is a fair shift.
Yeah, that's actually my first fully professional season this year, because obviously when I was with Madison, it wasn't a professional season like in Europe. 2019, I joined Arcadia in May. I still had a lot of race days, but yeah, obviously I missed out on the classics. 2020 was a write-off because of COVID. So this year was actually been my first professional season. So I feel like I've done it all right.
So next year, 2022, will the focus be these week-long stage races with a TT and some of the classics?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what my team will be thinking. The big thing for them is to be scoring UCI points to make sure we're first or second in the Pro Continental standings, especially kind of like taking over the 3-year average, so the team can go World Tour in 2023. So next year, they're wanting point scorers for the UCI points, and I feel like they'll be having me, putting the confidence in me to have a season like I had this year, if not better. And for myself, really keen for the classics and the semi-classics, and then races like the Belgium Tour, Poitou-Charentes, and the others that do have a bit of a time trial in. I think I'd be pretty keen to go there and try and pull off a result.
And contract year, if I'm right.
Yes, contract year as well. So let's see what happens there as well.
Class. Well, thanks for giving up your time tonight, Connor. That was a nice look back at your season, and hopefully 2022 is even better.
That's it. Thank you very much. Cheers for the chat.